Today's comparison is very unique. On my left side, we have the 2023 Mazda CX9, and on my right side, we got the Infiniti QX60. And you're probably wondering, why are you comparing the Mazda to the Infiniti? Isn't the Infiniti a luxury vehicle? Yes, it is. You see, when I think of Mazda, I think of a premium automaker. You can compare it to let's say, a Highlander, but you can also compare it to the Infiniti because it fits right in between. So it's actually a great competitor to both sides. And that's what we're going to do for today's video. So if you are comparing this or you're cross-shopping, don't forget to stick around. Let's roll. Let us begin with the exterior, and first let's talk about something that both have in common. The front end, the grille specifically. Both have that massive grille in front, which really makes both of them stand out on a highway. And when we were shooting the rollers for the Mazda, one thing I noticed how beautiful this thing is at the front end, and specifically with this beautiful red color on the outside. I absolutely love the red paint on that CX9. On the other side over here, the Infiniti is not too bad too. Very luxurious at the front end. We have the Infiniti badge at the front, so you know this is an Infiniti, specifically the letters below the grille. In terms of the size, I would say the Infiniti does look bigger, and it is bigger in comparison to the CX9. You notice that right away once you park them side by side. With the key in your pocket, behind, you wave your foot, you can open the tailgate. Same thing with Infiniti QX60. Now, in terms of the cargo space, because these are three-row SUVs, you notice the first thing, this doesn't have the same amount of space behind the third row in comparison to QX60, but it's not that bad. And underneath here, you have some extra space so you can put more stuff. Nice. This also comes with the rubber mats for winter. If you want to fold the third row seat, you have that lever located there. Same thing for this side. The headrests also fall down. And if you look carefully, we got two USB ports, one on each side and two cup holders. You also have these hangers on the side here if you need to hang any plastic bags or something to protect it so that it doesn't fall all over. I like this, but I don't like this thing. Let's see if this goes up. So that's one problem with this, is that the tailgate doesn't go up enough. I know you might think that that doesn't make any sense. Well, trust me, when you hit your head, it hurts. Press the button, you open the tailgate for the QX60, and we have all our equipment here. Here's what you get with the Infiniti QX60 behind the third row. You got buttons on the side here to unfold and fold the seats in the second row, and you also get more space underneath this area, so that way if you need extra space, well, you can use that. But overall, in terms of cargo space, you will be getting more with the QX60 in comparison to the CX9. Okay, let's try to get into the third row in the CX9. First of all, one thing I noticed is that if you have a child seat that you use a lot, well, this is going to be a bit hard. Why? Because look at this carefully. Now I kind of have to like duck down to put the child seat in here, unless you're 5'6", then you should be okay. Anyhow, the seats in the front here can be moved back and forth quite a lot actually. And if you want to fold it, you have a few options. You can do that with the lever on the side, or you can do that at the top and then you move the seat forward. So let's try get into the third row. But I have to say this though, there's a lot of space in here. That I like, because my pants will be okay. Or did I hear something? No, that wasn't my pants. It was just rubbing into something. And here we go. It's actually not bad here. My head is touching the roof just a little, my hair mostly, but it's actually not bad at all. Let's try and move the seat. Okay. It's actually not bad. I expect it to be pretty bad. Would I be able to do a 5-hour trip with this? Not really, but 2 hours maybe. An hour, probably. 30 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. Anyhow, it's okay. If you're 5'6", you'll be okay in the back here. It's actually not that bad. I expect it to be worse. It's been a while since I've reviewed this thing. Let's get into outside. Now, if you look at the Infiniti, even if I'm standing right here, I can still see the camera and you can still see something. So you do get a bit more space. If you have a child seat, it's easy to actually bring it in and lock it. So that's one positive thing about the Infiniti. Another thing that my camera guy noticed is the door, how much wider this thing opens in comparison to the CX9. It's almost at 90 degree, almost. The Nissan Rogue is the one that has it 90 degree. This is almost there. Now, how do you get into the third row? Well, there's a button behind the seat. There's a button over here. You can also move the seat back and forth. Similar to the CX9, you get child seat on each side if you want to use the left or right sides. If you want to get into the third row, we're going to press the button here and look at that. Now, in terms of this space over here, you get some space. I think the Mazda offers just a bit more to get into the third row. I think it has to do with the seats. So let me try to get into the third row. Now, I will say this right away. Headroom just slightly more here, but it feels like the Mazda does have a better third row. This is it's a bit tight in here in comparison to the Mazda. Not too tight, mostly space-wise, we're looking at the width, which is bigger here, I think. I got more space with the passenger on the right. And you also have like 2 cup holders in here. There's a USB port. But if I had someone on the right side here, I would feel more comfortable in the Infiniti than I would in the CX9 because the seat in the third row is much smaller in comparison. Now, to get out of here, I'm going to press this button. This has buttons, not levers, the same as the CX9, which does. And then it's actually not bad. Not bad at all. And then you move the seat all the way to the back. Now, with the Infiniti QX60, it does have this center console over here with 2 cup holders, but this can be removed completely if you need this space. As you can see, I have my child seat. And when you jump inside, the Infiniti has this design called theater mode, which means that you're sitting much higher into the second row and you're looking on top of the driver or the passenger, which again, it's actually pretty nice because I got great visibility. Now, the other thing that you get with Infiniti is that you have a USB port and a USB-C, and there's also a climate unit and heated seats similar to the Mazda CX9. We have a beautiful panoramic roof with Infiniti, something that you're missing with the CX9. Visibility is nice in here, but one thing I noticed right away, how much larger this thing is on the inside. There's so much space in here in comparison to the Mazda, which does feel a bit more like a bit more classed inside, a little bit claustrophobic. Not that much, but just a bit. You can notice because the vehicle here, Infiniti, is much higher off the ground and you get more space between the bottom part and the roof. The Signature comes with only 6 seats, so you got 2 in the front, 2 in the middle, and 2 in the back. We have this massive armrest in the center. You have cup holders as well in the front, but also space in here if you want to put your bag. It's pretty deep. It has heated seats. Butts are located right here. There's a climate unit, but with the Signature, we don't get a panoramic roof. That's a bit disappointing. There's only a sunroof in the front. Now, in terms of sitting, it actually is very comfortable and it does feel spacious. This thing is small on the outside, but big on the inside. Even in terms of the headroom, I get a lot of space. I like that. 2 cup holders. The only thing is that you cannot remove this part at all in comparison to the one Infiniti. You do get more space underneath here, and that's it. It's pretty nice, easy. I feel comfortable here. I'm actually very impressed with this thing. I thought, since it's been a while, I thought this was going to be pretty hard to sit in for me because I'm 6'2". When I said previously that the Mazda feels a bit more premium than standard vehicles, this is what I meant. This area here. It's really nice. It's so welcoming. The materials are nice. The dashboard feels great. It has this wood trim finish on the door panels, the two-tone interior as well. I love this thing, how it looks. And it's been a while since Mazda did a full refresh on this thing, and it's still very good to this day. The other thing we got in here, you have a digital cluster, not the same level as the QX60, which it does give you a bit of different layouts and different changes. There is a heads-up display. There is a massive screen here for the infotainment. The difference is that this is not touchscreen all the time. There's certain times where it goes touchscreen. I don't know how that is, but it's not full-time touchscreen. But you do get a center control unit here that you can basically navigate through the infotainment display. I love that. You have a few buttons in the center. There's only one driving mode, which is sport modes. One thing that I also like about the Mazda CX9 is the climate unit here. Although you don't get control over the second row climate units, they have physical buttons here, which are easy to use. We have ventilated seats and heated steering wheel for the CX9. The steering wheel is equipped with paddle shifters at the back, so if you want to have some fun. It also have driver assistant package with lane assist, gap assist, forward collision warning, and so on. The latest tech features. There is also a wireless charging pad with this signature trim, and we have power handbrakes and auto holds. There is 2 cup holders in the center. There's a twin armrest, twin split armrest, so you got 2 pieces. So if you don't want to bother the passenger, you can open only one side. That's nice. Beautiful leather interior, quilted seats. Absolutely love the interior of this car, but I wouldn't pick this color because it would be hard to keep this clean all the time. Okay, into the Infiniti. Let's start it up. Now here's why you would want power steering column, because if you have memory seats, which this does, in fact this has 2, so does the CX9. Interior of the Infiniti, absolutely gorgeous. Quilted dashboard, the beautiful cognac, I would say, interior, sort of like brown and gold mixed together, two-tone. Absolutely beautiful. Amazing cluster, fully digital, massive screen. Same thing for the infotainment display, huge. It is touchscreen. You have a 360 camera. You have all the latest tech features. In the center console over here, again, the wireless charging pad, 2 cup holders, massive armrests, not twin split as the one in the CX9. But one thing you notice in here is how much larger this thing is on the inside. Everything is like far away from you in comparison to Mazda, which is right on your face. This is much nicer. And for me, my height, I enjoy this quite a lot. That's not to say that the Mazda is a bad car on the inside. It's just for me that I'm 6'2", this is nice. I like this. It's a very welcoming place to be, place to drive. I like this. The Mazda CX9 uses a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. It makes 227 brake horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. It's quite impressive. The Infiniti on the other side uses a 3.5-liter V6 naturally aspirated. It makes 295 brake horsepower and 270 pound-feet of torque. They're both all-wheel drive. The Infiniti uses a 9-speed automatic transmission, meanwhile the Mazda uses a 6-speed Sky Active iDrive with manual shift, of course, and pedal shifters and drive selection. The Infiniti does tow more, up to 6,000 pounds in comparison to the CX9 price-wise, because that is very important, and that's where it gets a bit tricky. You see, the base model Mazda CX9 in Canada starts at $42,000. Yes, that's a lot cheaper in comparison to the Infiniti QX60, which starts at $56,000. But keep in mind, the reason why the Infiniti costs more is because it does have more features for the base model in comparison to the Mazda, and of course it has that premium name and premium build. The top trim Mazda signature that we have for today's video starts at $54,000, but Infiniti starts at $69,000. It's almost 70 grand for the autobiography, which again is a lot more money than the signature. But that, of course, has a total explanation, which is the fact that Infiniti does offer a lot more tech features all around. Now, driving them both, here's what I think. First of all, the Infiniti does have a less heavy steering wheel in comparison to the Mazda. The Mazda, the steering feels a bit heavy in comparison to the Infiniti QX60. Another thing I noticed with this is that this does not feel like a three-row SUV. In the Infiniti, you feel like you're driving a three-row SUV all the time. This to me feels more like a CX5. Yeah, about right, CX5. That reminds me of that kind of driving. Then you look back, you realize you have 3 rows. Then yes, that's when you realize that this is a 3-row SUV. The suspension setup is nicer in the Infiniti. It has a softer ride. This does feel a bit stiff. Not too much. I'd say about 5 to 10% stiffer than the Infiniti. You notice that as you go into the bumpy area. Cabin noise. I do hear the engine a lot more in the Mazda than I do in the Infiniti. The Infiniti feels a bit better isolated overall, even the road noise. As this truck is passing by, I can hear it quite a lot. And I think that's where it comes down to that premium feel and premium experience that you get, or that luxury feeling that you get into the Infiniti. It's a very tough decision because it all comes down to which one do you like, how it drives, how it looks, how it feels on the inside. And for me, being 6'2", the Infiniti is much more spacious inside, and I'm willing to pay the extra money because I like that space. Like for example, on the driver's side right now, my foot is touching the center console a lot. It's rubbing constantly. So for me, the Mazda wouldn't be the best choice. So I would say I gotta go with Infiniti.